Now, in yet another thrust to become self-reliant, the Indian government has opened up the space sector for private players. This giant leap, and much needed, to unburden India's space organization. Most importantly, it is required to propel India into the new space era. Who knows, India could find its own SpaceX very soon. Here's a report.
Mission liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Spot and Dog.
This is the SpaceX Falcon 9. The first privately built rocket. It took 2 NASA astronauts to the International Space Station. The launch last month marked a significant shift in space exploration. For the first time ever, NASA allowed a private player a glimpse beyond the Earth's orbit. Can the Indian Space Research Organization do the same? Yes, India has taken its first big step in that direction. The government has set up 2 bodies that will assist ISRO to facilitate private participation. ISRO's programs are hailed across the world for running on a shoestring budget. The Mars mission is staggeringly cheap by Western standards. India is already the global launchpad for small and light satellites. Given the low budget and limited workforce, routine work hampers advanced research into interplanetary and human spaceflight missions. That's the big frontier that ISRO must conquer, and that's why private players. Were they not allowed at all earlier? They were, but in a different capacity. ISRO has tie-ups with around 150 private firms, all exclusive suppliers to India's space programs. Now, private players can start building and launching satellites too.
Non-governmental entities. They will be enabled to carry out all the space activities, namely building up rockets and satellite, providing launch services, own satellites, and provide space-based services on a commercial basis.
This is an extension of India's aim to become self-reliant. Space exploration required special attention. ISRO is fully dependent on 2 launch vehicles in the PSLV and GSLV series. Both were conceptualized back in the 1970s and 1980s. In the last 27 years, ISRO has not been able to develop more powerful propulsion engines. India still uses a French engine to launch its own satellites. For a manned mission, ISRO needs to improve the payload capacity, which needs an engine that will thrust India to greater heights. And so the government has decided to open up India's space sector, to give ISRO more time to carry out cutting-edge research. Leading space explorers, the US, China, and the European Space Agency are encouraging private participation. But the US took a giant leap. In the US, NASA is working with SpaceX. From Richard Branson to Jeff Bezos, billionaires are creating their own space companies. A few days ago, China launched its final Beidou satellite. The deployment of China's global navigation system is complete. A network of 35 satellites, it will power China's own GPS system. Following the border conflict with China, ISRO services are required to refine India's satellites for the military. With this opening of the space sector, routine satellite launches can be left to private players.
Liftoff, the final liftoff of Atlantis.
Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Roger, roll, Atlantis.